From the moment our children are born and the doctor takes them to be weighed, measured, and bundled, their health becomes one of our very highest priorities. We often worry about over immunizations and stock up on hand soap for flu season. But how often do we take the time to sit back and ask ourselves, how emotionally healthy are our children? Islamic Care Line's counselor Zakiyya Pochee is here to chat about emotionally balanced parenting and what it could mean for you and your kids. If you have any questions, our WhatsApp lines are open. The number is 061 766 0355. You can also share your comments using that number. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Zakiyya, and shukran for joining me.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Maryam. Jazakallah for having me.
Alhamdulillah. Right, so what is emotion balanced parenting?
So, being emotionally available for your children, remembering to take care of yourself as a parent and meeting your emotional needs leads to emotionally healthy children. So, obviously, being emotionally available, often at times parents go through a lot of stress and handle a lot of pressure. This comes a lot also from mothers. And obviously not dealing with their emotional difficulties. And that's why it ends up, reflecting on kids, and they end up in conflict and not being able to manage, whether it's, shouting or screaming or whatever it is in that moment, not mindful and actually being, sort of empathetic with your child or when they're going through something. So it's very important for parents to first be emotionally balanced before they can actually deal with their kids' emotional needs.
Mm-hmm. And how emotionally healthy are our kids considering everything that is happening around them?
Well, look, in today's time, it's obviously very challenging with emotional intelligence. Often at times I feel like parents focus a lot on academic intelligence and not that much on emotional intelligence, where emotional intelligence is actually much more important to instill in a child before you can think about your academic, your goals. And because like in today's time, just to add a bit of a story on this, there was a study that was done, I think it was around 1957 by a professor in Stanford, if I'm correct. There's actually a book that I've read called Emotional Intelligence and IQ by Daniel Coleman. So it's a really good book because it speaks of how important emotional intelligence is. And there was actually a study done on 4-year-olds called the marshmallow test, whereby they had a group of 4-year-olds together, and they gave them a marshmallow, and they said, whoever is going to eat this marshmallow will not get another marshmallow, but whoever waits and whoever is patient will get another marshmallow. So the person who was doing the experiment said he's going to come back, and after a while, and this 4-year-old. So some of them obviously ate it immediately. Some of them waited with difficulty, but they did wait. They were quite patient. And the study actually followed these kids later on in life and through high school. And the study showed that kids who were emotionally more patient and more grateful and basically better emotionally, they did better in the SATs, they did better in school. They could handle situations, they could handle pressure, they could handle the challenges later on, So that's why it's so important to instill that first. I mean, obviously academic people, we want our kids to do well academically. But obviously we don't, by putting a lot of pressure on them, even with that emotionally, it can cause a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is an emotionally supportive parent? What does an emotionally supportive parent look like?
Okay, so it's obviously being emotionally balanced within yourself. So if you're going an emotionally supportive a balanced parent would be somebody who's going through or challenges, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps like dealing with it first. So if you, for example, a mom or a dad who's going through anxiety or some kind of mental health issue or depression, or even in today's times, addiction, whatever it is, depression, you need to first deal with it first. So if you're going through something and you're not feeling okay, even if it's something at home where you and your spouse had an argument or a fight, and then the kid comes home and now you're taking it out on your child. And you're stressed, you're taking it all out in the wrong way. So you need to first deal with that first. You need to first deal with your issue or what you're struggling with emotionally before you can actually, go and say, like if the child has to come home and now you're not available. So let's say the child comes home and tells you about school or something happened or something silly, and you're not in the best of mood at the time. And now you go and now you're lashing out at the child, like, just get out of here or just go and do this, or, you can't have this. So you just start screaming and yelling at the child because now you're going through your own stress. You need to first go and look for, deal with it yourself. And self-care is important. I think, even as mothers, we want to be there for everybody else. We want to be there for our family. We want to be there for our kids. We're putting everybody else first. That we're also forgetting about ourselves. And self-care is also very important. You must prioritize self-care. I mean, now and then it's not selfish. It's not something that's selfish. It helps you be more emotionally present, taking time out. Okay. And self-care means taking time for yourself, whether it's a nap, a bath, a walk, sometimes with friends, you know, realizing, okay, you know what, let me schedule a time to jump today or exercise today or read a book if you enjoy reading. Surprisingly, even this year, I've signed up for the UMA classes. I myself decided to take some, time out for myself. I'm enjoying it for myself. And, so I mean, take the time out. It's important for you to self-care so that you can also regulate your own emotions so that you can help manage everything else. You don't want too much stress on you as a parent because then it just bursts and lash out all in the wrong way.
Yeah, that's so true. Now, what are some signs that your child may be struggling emotionally? How can you tell that your child probably has some emotions and they don't know how to express them?
Okay, so depending on the child's age, okay, we're looking at either tantrums or attention seeking or, your general behavior problems. I mean, obviously that's now in your younger age. As you get older, maybe you're finding out wrong friend groups, or whether it's even starting to smoke weed or, doing things like that, then you must know that, something is not right and that you as a parent would, your child. So you start to
Mm-hmm.
look out for signs of behaviors. And, even like for a child, okay, she always used to come and talk to me, for example, about certain things so she could trust me. I mean, also as parents, remembering that you are a parent, but also you want your child to trust you. So empathy is very, very important. Remember, empathic parenting is based on the desire to raise individuals or people who are caring and compassionate. Okay, and so it's important to be very empathic towards our kids and understand where they're coming from. So we want them to also trust us at the same time. So like a behavior that the child is now very withdrawn, or she bottles a lot of things up, and then all of a sudden, when time comes, she just bursts out of anger or out of frustration, and now you yelling at her or making the child feel guilty for certain things. That's also important to remember that those kind of behaviors are things that you want to look out for because you can see your child emotionally is starting to get aggressive and angry. That's when obviously they get older and during the teenage years they want to start seeking attention in other ways, in other places, with maybe the wrong friends. So you want to basically start molding them, or I would rather say guiding them, because children are not meant to be dictated to. Children need to be guided with the, in the
Mm-hmm.
right way by their parents. And any child or any individual, whether he or she is 5 or 3, 5, if that individual has the right attention, the affirmation, and the support of their parent, then that individual will always grow up with confidence.
Mm-hmm. All right, Zakia, we're going to take a quick break, but when we return, I'd like to discuss how to raise emotionally balanced kids and from what age do we start. Please stay with us.
Every 60 seconds, a silent pandemic claims the life of a child. unsafe water is having a devastating global impact on health and livelihoods. Islamic Relief is at the forefront, providing clean and safe water to vulnerable communities around the world. Our tailored approach to sustainable water solutions enable families not just to survive, but to thrive, ensuring they stay healthy and safe. Give water, give life with Islamic Relief.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain developing company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
Reliable access to clean water could save thousands of lives each day. With proper sanitation and easy access to fresh, clean water, communities can flourish. Our Thirst Relief Appeal provides clean water to communities in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East by building deep wells and providing sustainable water and hygiene solutions. A monthly donation of as little as 700 Rand could build a well for a community in need. That's only 23 Rand a day. Donate today. www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 11 00 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
17 minutes past 12. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media, and on our Islamic Care Line segment, I've got Councillor Zakiyya Pochee talking about how to be an emotionally balanced parent, how to be an emotionally balanced parent, and how can you go about doing this and becoming an emotionally balanced parent. Zakiyya, shukran for staying on the line. Now, how do you raise emotionally balanced children, and from what age do you start?
Okay, so just to begin with, the ayat that I came across is Surah Ar-Rum, where Allah Ta'ala says that it is Allah who creates you weak and gives you strength, then weakness after strength, together with your gray hair. And He creates what He wills. He is the all-knowing and all-powerful. So Allah Ta'ala shows us in this ayat of the different life stages that each person goes through for each different demand and characteristic. So the childhood stage is represented here by weakness, in which children need good caring and passion and guidance. And then obviously later on, in terms of adolescence, that leads to adult stage demand, that now demands good guidance and caring. Okay, if you look at the life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the way that he taught us to raise our kids, I mean, he spoke about it's very important when it comes to the first 7 years of a child's life. And I mean, if you look at it from, I think it's very also important for a mother from the time the child is in her womb. Okay, many a times, obviously, we go through a lot of stress. I know mothers go through a lot of postnatal depression and all of it after the child is born. However, it's important to know that during these stages, even when the baby is in the womb, it's important for the mother herself, and obviously the father. I mean, both areas are linked here, or both parents are linked, but it's important for them to be also in a good space. I mean, not to say that we don't have challenges every day, we do have challenges, but obviously that from the beginning stages it's important. And as the child develops and as the child grows, it's important not to, for example, let's take a child at around 3 or 4 years old, by shouting the child or by making the child scared or nervous or telling them, you're stupid or you're silly or don't do that. Okay, that already starts breaking that child's self-esteem. Okay, so you want to start as soon as your child starts slowly learning to walk, whether it's crawling, they start to speak and understanding you. The first 7 stages are very important because that's the time that the memory starts to store a lot. And that's the time where they will also now later on in life, they will start to store a lot. Remember, everything in your mind as an individual, as a child, as a human being, is all stored in your subconscious. And that's why you see people who are later on in life, even as adults, now have to deal with trauma or with issues that happened in their childhood. And, many times we have to bring it back. They actually now have to now remember that trauma, and it's affecting them perhaps in their now adult life, whether it's their marriages or them as parents as well. Okay, so it's important to be very empathic from the beginning stages. I mean, if you look at the life of even our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and when Fatima radiallahu anha, this was his daughter, and when she would actually walk in the room, because he knew this is a girl. I mean, girls are very emotional compared to boys. Girls are more soft and sensitive. So he would actually get up, and he would go and he would hug her. He would get up out of respect almost for her. And he is the Prophet. He is the Nabi of Allah. You know what I mean? This is his daughter, and he showed her love and respect in that moment. So it's important to remember to also, children have a right to be respected as well. Okay, so it's important for us to understand our kids. And like I said, early stages, be empathic with them. Also, when they start throwing tantrums, when a 4-year-old or 5-year-old starts to say he wants to sleep or he wants it, or remembering that discipline is important, but being also considerate in the moment is also very, very vital. So, for example, if a child now wants to sleep or he's demanding something, he can't get it, acknowledge his feelings. Meaning that say, you know what, I know that you are feeling frustrated right now. I know it angers you right now. However, you can have the sweet after you have your supper. You can't have it. Making sure that rules are rules. But at the same time, going down to his level, kids, it's good to, even the smaller kids, go down, bend down to their level, look them in the eye, explain to them why they can't have what they need to have. And even if they're throwing a tantrum and they don't understand, many a time you find this with girls, they'll be crying and they don't even understand why they're crying. You understand? So you need to actually go down to their level and say, what's going on? And they're trying to explain to you how they feel, or I'm angry because of so and so, or this happened. Then empathize with them and say, it's not fair. For example, a kid that says, I'm the one that always has to take the toys and it's not fair, and starts throwing a tantrum. And empathize with him and say, okay, it's not fair, isn't it? It's not fair. You don't feel like it's fair. It's not right. And the kid will start talking and say, yes, it's not right, and if it makes him angry, then we'll say, okay, fine, let's all have a meeting, and you gather all the kids together. Doesn't matter because everybody has to be together. You gotta work as a family, work as a unit, work as a family together. So, just to answer your question, going back, we're looking at your first 7 stages, but from very early stages with your child, try to be there emotionally for him or her.
Mm-hmm. That's very important information there that you shared. Now, what are some mistakes that parents make, and how can we avoid it?
Okay, many a times when parents are feeling very, very overwhelmed, I would say the mistakes that we make is, I would say, emotional instability with aggression, poor boundaries, making kids feel guilty. And that's what we often do. Whenever a child comes to us and they're angry, or you waste my time, or a lot of parents are a bit more vulgar and they're just leave me alone or get out. They get so angry in that moment that they start even realizing that they're verbally abusing the kids. And what happens is those kids now start adopting that kind of behavior with other kids, and then growing up and making them think, okay, it's okay. I mean, I know a child who from an early age thought it was okay to lie, because why is always the parents lie? I mean, some things I know often at times we tell our kids, okay, if somebody comes, just lie and tell him, or somebody phone, just lie and say, you know what, I'm not here, or just lie and say, I'm not doing this. So now the kid is 5 and 16, doesn't baby, it's completely normal because this is his own environment. So they go to school and they start lying and cheating in class and in school. They're thinking, you know what, it's okay. Then now the child gets into deep trouble and gets embarrassed in front of the whole class where the environment or it was okay to lie. So we need to remember that these are mistakes we make, even though it may seem like funny or small, it's actually not. It damages a child. Also, by making a child feel guilty is not, it's like entrapping the child with guilt. Okay, and that's something that also we need to remember that it's not okay to make the child feel guilty. And as Muslims, what we often do is saying, if you don't do this, Allah doesn't love you. If you don't do this, you're going to Jahannam. If you don't do this, shaitan. Don't do that. Don't put fear in the child. You know, rather guide the child with love. At Care Line, we work, instead of putting fear of Allah, we work a lot with kids. We instill love for Allah. So instead of saying, instead of, like, for example, if a child comes in, their behavior might be a bit suspect, we start to say, okay, which road do you want to take? Do you want to take the road to Jannah or the road to Jahannam? If you take the road to Jannah, what will your Jannah look like? And what do we need to get there to get to Jannah? Or like we tell them, like Allah does love you and that this is the qualities that He loves about you. Always look for the positive in your child. And I find a lot of kids, especially like we spoke about academics, a lot of parents, a child will come home and probably bring home like 6 A's or 5 A's and 1 B, or like, the 5 7s and then there's 1 6. And parents often look at, oh, but now you got all A's or you got all 6 or all 7s. What happened to the 1 6? And they keep like, oh, but now you did so terrible, you did bad in the subject, and keep like harping. But what about all the A's in the child? Look at the positive. Always, look at the positive in your child. Don't always like, bash them about the negatives. And say, okay, next time you'll do better. This is a subject you will, but it's okay. I'm so proud of you. It's important also to tell a child that you should be so proud of yourself, because they acknowledge that, this is the accomplishment. They did this by themselves. Also, at the same time, as a parent, it's important for their confidence for us to tell them that we are proud of them. However, for them to be proud of themselves, they're going to want to do that more, because they feel like, what, I got this, I can do this, I'm doing this. Both that confidence. Like I said, those things like entrapping the child with guilt or fear, lying, those kind of behaviors that we think it's okay, lying or swearing, or even like it's definitely of your characteristics in a child. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was gentle. He wasn't aggressive. He didn't like swear, shout to the kids. He explained to them. It's very important. If a child does something wrong and you do not acknowledge their behavior, you need to look at them straight in the eye. You need to first empathize with them and understand, okay, I know why you're feeling frustrated, and then explain to them why. Why it's important for them not to get that, or why it's important for them. We can have the sweet, but first you got to have lunch first. Or, why? Explain to them why. Don't just say, because I said so, because I'm big and because you're small. Children have a right to be respected, so also explain to them in that way.
Right, Zakiyya, very important points that you've just touched on there. And I had an interview earlier talking about why kids, or what can parents do when kids lose interest in school. And I see the connection now. It comes down to emotionally parenting your kids, and what your emotions need to come into play first before the academics, and you have to be conscious about it as well, and you need to be a present parent and not just an absent parent who dismisses their kids every now and then because you want time for yourself or for whatever it may be. But very, very important points that you've raised there, and I hope our parents will take heed of the advice. Shukran so much for your time, and have a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And that was Zakiyya Pochee, Islamic Care Line counselor, taking us through emotionally balanced parenting and what it could mean for you and your kids. Obviously, it could mean that your child turns out to be a person who is in touch with their emotions, an adult who knows how to deal with themselves and the people around them because they are emotionally connected. And this could be big for the world, and not just for the individual, but for the world. If all of our kids could be raised emotionally, to get in touch with their emotions, then this could be a game changer. It is 12:30. You are listening to the Mid Morning Talk on Salam Media. Please stay with us. We'll be right